My best friend's manipulative husband sent me dirty texts pretending to be her. He gaslit her after being confronted. I have a childhood friend named Emily who I've known since we were 5. We originally met because our respective fathers were best friends, and me and Emily were raised as siblings. Nothing remotely romantic has ever happened between us. It's accurate to say I treat her like I do my other sisters. We stopped being friends briefly when she got married way too young to her boss. She was 19 and he was 33. He ended up being incredibly abusive, controlling her life at every level, and over the 3 years they were together he basically isolated her from all friends and family. We reconciled when she divorced him. Around this time I attended university and met my now wife early on. We've been together for 17 years now and she's become really close to Emily over the years. Also at university I met a guy named George on my course. We were part of the same friendship group but didn't stay in touch until we coincidentally ended up working together a good 10 years after graduation. I ended up introducing him to Emily and they started a relationship. A year or so later they moved in together. Emily was happy, he was happy. On the face of things he's seemingly been fine with me and Emily's friendship and never said anything. Well, over the past few weeks I started getting texts from Emily, sometimes late at night, that were just off. I was suspicious when she used a common British shortening of my full name rather than the traditional German version of my name she would always use, and when some overly flirty, almost outright texting occurred I immediately shut it down, 100% sure it wasn't her. I basically called him out and asked if this was in fact George using her phone and bluntly asked why he was trying to SXT with me as his girlfriend. He never responded, but after explaining the situation to my wife she went over to Emily's with my phone to see what was going on. I wasn't there for this but she showed Emily our entire text history and what he had done. George came home and they confronted him. He first outright denied it and had the nerds to accuse Emily of texting me and trying to hide the cheating from my wife by saying he did it. Emily just left with my wife to come stay with us after this because there wasn't any reasoning with him. The morning after he called and begged her to come home, he was crying and threw himself at her feet claiming he did it out of jealousy. He highlighted that she was in the habit of deleting our conversations which drove him mad and he was always jealous of our relationship. He found it hard to see me with her and after he saw her saying stuff like how she loved me, not being able to read our texts drove him to basically go fishing to establish our relationship. The texting was an attempt to bluntly see if it was something we would engage in. At this point Emily asked for mine and my wife's opinion on this whole thing. I called bullcrap on this being a mistake, something he was driven to by jealousy. He violated her privacy by going through her phone, risked our friendship by masquerading as her, risked my marriage by trying to bait me into texting a friend, risked Emily and my wife's friendship by making it look like Emily was sexting me. The entire thing was a cluster of CK. I didn't outright say she should leave him but I highlighted how dishonest this whole thing was. She eventually went back home and I didn't hear anything for a few days but Emily eventually revealed to my wife that she had functionally forgiven him. My wife worked out from the conversation what had happened. He had basically flipped the script on me by playing into fears from her marriage. He described me as another controlling male trying to dictate who she had a relationship with. He encouraged her to make her own decision but she had to ignore me because I didn't have her best interest at heart. I was controlling her like her ex. My wife quietly pointed out he was in fact being like her ex, not me. He was driving a wedge between her and family. At this point Emily just gave up, said she couldn't win, couldn't decide between the man she loves and her brother, so F it. Let's pretend it never happened. We haven't really spoken since. Apparently part of forgetting this ever happened is also giving into his worries about our friendship. Every time I try to bring up what he did I've either been ignored or told to stay out of it. Honestly this ticks me off that he's gotten exactly what he wanted. He stopped us talking. I know I can't force her to break up with him but it's seemingly a catch-22. I can't push her to make a decision about what he did whilst he's got her convinced I'm controlling her. I rarely see George at work and he's rightly kept the F away from me.